Good evening, good evening. I was moving and got lost track of time, put my phone down, didn't hear my alarm, so please forgive me.
Oh, it's okay.
We're gonna continue and finish off this study guide for our exam prep one. I am already live streaming, so you can always revisit this. I'm preparing to share the page and picking up. I'm gonna step away and get my phone also, put my alarm on. There we go. We stopped off at 60. Yeah, we stopped off at 60 yesterday and picking back up the process of transferring key points into visual images that are sketched into squares of a matrix is known as, and we said window painting. So 61 was C. Okay, 60 was C. Moving into 61, let me step away real quick, get my phone. All right, got my timer. Okay. I'm just going to respond in the group just in case someone else is seeing it. Okay. All right. That was me responding just in case the other classmates will see it and jump on as well. Okay. All right. So let's look at 61. Picking up from yesterday, research indicates that people can retain in their short-term memory an average of 5 bits of information with a variation of 2 on the plus or minus side. 6 bits of information with a variation of 2 on the plus or minus side, or 7 bits of information with a variation of 2 on the plus or minus side, and also 8. 61 is going to come down to C. 7 bits of information with a variation of 2 on the plus or minus side. So you can go anywhere between 5 to 7 or 7 to 9, okay? At a time. Why is this so important? It's important by us monitoring how much we're trying to feed the students as far as information at a time. This is why we have to have our timers. We have to have those lesson plans where we kind of space things out and we're just not chunking information to them. Just kind of space your information out a little bit. Okay. 62. Excursions or field trips into the workplace in various venues provide an opportunity for 62, time off for the educator. active learning, time off for the learner, or teacher-centered learning. Okay, going into the chat, what do we think? What does field trip do for us into the workplace? Time off for the teacher, time off for the student, or is it active learning or teacher-centered learning? Okay, and the answer 462 going into the chat, you're correct, is B. Okay, active learning. It is a learning classroom. Okay, 62 said field trips, learning classrooms. I've loved field trips. Some schools, especially larger schools, they kind of spaz away from it because they gotta make sure there's so much liability. They gotta also have reliable educators. Don't you know, I have heard of educators going on field trips. And it was in recruitment to another school. That was like, so when people say they got to have educators they can trust that'll take them out, they really have to have people they can trust that'll take them out. We did scavenger hunts. So this is pre-planning as well. We would go, especially go to the mall, and we would leave these. One teacher would go ahead and leave these notes at particular stores, and our students one clue would lead to another one. It was fun. It was a scavenger hunt, and it usually has something to do with the lesson. So I always check the lesson and figure out what kind of field trip can we do pertaining to the lesson. But competitions, trade shows were always fun, always amazing, always fun. And we would go to competitions, and I just remember working at a career college, and we would win, we would dominate the competitions to where they would say they wanted us to be in a college level competition and not compete the high schoolers, because it was just competition that had everybody in there. So they eventually broke it down to my students and, those in private colleges, like, the bigger schools could not compete with the the high school students. We had to compete in private college category. That's fine. We still won. We were very creative. And when you got creative teachers, you got students that's ready to go, it produces an amazing team. We won together. We split everything down the middle, in which 9 times out of 10, everybody got to eat together. Okay. And so any kind of prize winnings went to actually them enjoying dinners and pizza parties and things like that. So we really, really enjoyed everything. So 61 was C, 62 was B, 63. Upon return from a scheduled field trip, the master educator will organize a review of the event, in-depth discussion of the field trip, evaluation of the field trip, or all of the above. 63. Yeah, 63. All of the above. You're absolutely right. The chat said D, and that's it. All of the above. The educator, you're responsible for bringing them back in, Oh, it's amazing field trip. Now, how does that field trip go? Let's review it. Okay. Let's do an in-depth discussion. So we always would visit salon suites, and all these different aspects of business. And it will be great conversation when we got in the room. Really had to make sure educators did not lean toward a negative end of anything, because the students will pick it up. And a lot of times as director, you would come in and you're trying to see how the field trip was or what's going on, and you find that the students will have a set opinion already about something, and you pretty much know they came from somewhere else. They have no experience in those areas, so it came from somewhere else. And so I want to make sure my educators have this very positive outlook on industry, because that's what you should be portraying in the classroom. And the students, the learners are picking up on that. Everything that you're portraying, good or bad, they're picking up on it. 64, before inviting any guest speaker, a master educator will, okay, lay the ground rules for the speaker's presentation, call to make the appointment for the guest speaker, call to verify the date of the scheduled demonstration or lecture, and then prepare the students for the guest speaker. 64 is going to be A, okay, because you have to set the ground rules, because you don't want to invite a speaker. You've been preaching and teaching your students about professionalism. Then you bring someone in who does not show any form of professionalism. The students are going to be like, oh, wait a minute. You know, and so you don't want to bring that look as well. And so you want to make sure that you set the ground rules. Look, there's no cursing in the classroom. Okay. You have to be dressed professionally. You might have to tell them what that looks like. So everybody that does an amazing hairstyle cannot be a guest speaker. They're just not there yet. What you want to present in front of your classroom is industry's best. Okay. This is another reason why we can have limitless amount of guest speakers, because we have this virtual connection and people can prep the top, you know, and depending on, you have speakers, whatever they have come on, it's such an array of different styles, different things you can have come in. And so you set the ground rules. If you were bringing somebody into your class that you got all settled here, what do you don't want them to do? Okay. You don't want your class to be in an uproar when they leave. So you have to come in and set the ground rules. We're doing chemicals, or we're not doing chemicals. Or if you're going to do a style, this is the style you got. This is the amount of time you have. Can you produce it? Or you're just coming in for a cut and for a motivational talk. I mean, you set the ground rules. Okay. And then 65, while the guest speaker is presenting, the master educator will be A, an attentive listener, able to do some paperwork, able to take a coffee break, or able to prepare lesson plans. All right. And 65 is A, an attentive listener. I will tell you now, I've had many people invite me into their classrooms because they're on color. Okay. Only to when I get there, they tell me they want me to teach color. And the students know nothing about color. So basically, I'm coming in teaching this aspect of hair color like I'm the teacher, and I'm not. Guest speakers come in and put the icing on the cake. They come in and put the whipped cream on top of the cake. Okay. They're just this added additive. You have to have, you cannot just release over something you don't know how to do. So I just call somebody in to do that. Okay. Remember, cosmetology educators, if we're going to move in that, we got to do everything related to cosmetology, even the stuff we don't like. Bringing someone in is just like a bonus. It's just one of those additives you bring into the classroom. All right. So 65 is A, attentive listener. I don't want you to go do your paperwork. Don't go do anything else. When the students, they definitely know you're not there, they'll do whatever. So please be there with your guest speaker. You're going to prep them, tell them what to do, and you're also going to be attentive as well. 66, a free-flowing graphic organizing system to outline material or information that is highly effective for the visual learner is referred to as fishboning, tree branching, mind mapping, or spider webbing. Okay. And this is a graphic organizing system to outline material. It's very effective, important information. It is going to be 66, mind mapping. Okay. Mind mapping. Yes. 66, mind mapping. Let's go over to 67. Okay. All right, 67. Another type of hands-on experience that can be very effective in helping students develop problem-solving skills and where they can apply the underlying theories of a subject and integrate them with practice and action is the project, the demonstration, the application, or the practice. What is it, guys? What is it? Okay, let's go in and see what we have. Number 67. '67 is actually A. Make sure I see that right. Yeah. Let's look at it again and why it's not C. Okay, another type of hands-on experience that can be very effective in helping students develop problem-solving skills, okay, and where they can apply the underlying theories of a subject and integrate them with practice and action. Okay, give them a project. Okay, I can see that. 67A, we're giving the students a project. They have to build something, figure something out. Okay, 67 is A. 68, a link between the learner's past experiences with the objectives of a lesson or the school experience as a whole is called a bridge, a concept connector, linking or connecting. Okay. A link, a link, aka connector, a link, something that connects between the learner's past experience with the objective and the lesson or school experience as a whole. So you can say, hey, we talking about hair cutting. Someone is going to have a story about a bad haircut, one of their favorite haircuts, somebody they know who cuts, some pictures, some video. Most people will have a connector. And so it's going to be a concept connector. You found something that they relate to. Okay. 68 is B. 69, aids or phrases that will trigger the recall of key terms or information are known as limerick,s mnemonics, chants, or raps. Okay. 69 is mnemonics, just like hooked on phonics, mnemonics. Phrases, aids or phrases that will trigger the recall of key terms. So find a way when we be doing summary and you say, okay, I'm going to put the word, if I put the word pixie on the board, everything you know about pixie should also be put on the board. So everything about a pixie comes to your mind. That's a mnemonic. Okay. If I put something about permanent color, everything I know about permanent color comes to mind. Okay. And so you can do those things. I have knowledge tree. So if I put numbers on the tree, and when we do state board, if I put a number 16 on the tree, everything they remember that relates to 16 must come up on the board. This is another study mechanism for me. 70. During a lull in a class, a brief change of pace that will take only 1 to 3 minutes and provide for both mental and physical breaks is referred to a reprimand, cheer, pick me up, or energizer. Ooh, a brief change of pace that will take only 1 to 3 minutes and provide for both a mental and physical break is referred to as D, energizer. Okay, energizer. Energizers also may fall into the term of icebreakers. Okay, 71. The primary purpose of group activity is to allow the learners to work the material in such a manner that they learn it, retain it, and will be able to apply it in the laboratory, use it in the workforce, apply it in the laboratory and workforce, apply it under supervision. 71, you want to be able to apply it in the workplace and in the laboratory. So in the salon, working on the floor, and also just in a traditional workplace. So 71 is C. 72, as an educator, it is important to be able to demonstrate effectively to your learners, prepare tests effectively for your learners, communicate effectively to your learners, or prepare visuals effectively for your learners. 72 is C. And as an educator, it is important to be able to communicate effectively to your learners. Okay? You cannot assume they understand. You cannot assume they know what to do next. Okay? You have to effectively communicate to the learners. 73, when does communication occur? Okay? When a message is received, message is thought, message is transmitted, message is received and understood. Okay? That's when we got communication. Okay, I'm hearing you and I understand. Okay? 74, nonverbal communication can be added to spoken communication too. It enhances the meaning, diminish the meaning, weaken the meaning, or impair the meaning. Okay? Nonverbal communication, which is something you may be doing with your arms or something you may be doing with your hands, body movement, facial expression. Nonverbal communication can be added to spoken communication. So you add this as you're talking to do what? Enhance the meaning, diminish the meaning, weaken the meaning, or impair the meaning. 74 is going to be A. It's going to enhance the meaning. You understand it more. Maybe if someone's using their body, their hand gestures as they're talking, or facial expressions while they're talking. 75, the packaging and controlling of the message is called feedback, decoding, encoding, acknowledgement. C, encoding, the packaging and controlling of the message is encoding. Okay. 76. Note also the difference between encoding and decoding. So 75, just put a note there. Encoding and decoding is two things. We'll go back and forth. You may see it again. 76. For communication to be effective, the communication cycle must be completed. When a desired result is achieved, we can say it has been properly, C, decoded. Okay, so encoding is packaging. Get my words together. Some people will say, think before you speak. So I'm packaging it up. I'm getting my message, and then I'm going. Okay, for communication to be effective, the communication cycle must be completed. So if I have spoken, I put my message together, now I need to wait for a response. Once somebody understands it, receives it and understands it, now we can move into 76, decode it. So got to get it together, get my words together, boom. And once it gets on the other side and it is understood, okay, then we go into decoding. We start to break it down or what it means. Encoding, decoding. 77, a barrier to communication that could include room temperature, distracting activities and movement, and distracting side conversation is referred to as physical barrier, mental barrier, emotional barrier, or cultural barrier. Okay, 77 is A, physical barrier. Let's discuss something. Barriers in the classroom interrupt the learning process. So no matter what kind of barrier, it interrupts the learning process. Okay, so a barrier to communication that could include, and this is a reason that they're not communicating with you, the room temperature. It's too cold to talk or it's too hot to talk. You got to make sure when you come in your room that you have a great, nice, even room temperature, especially on test day. Then there's distracting activities. Okay. Distracting activities and movement. Distracting activities and movement. Things that take them off the course of what we're supposed to be concentrating on. And distracting side conversations. You're pulling me to the side, talking about different things. Educators, we're not moving. Someone wants to pull you to the side. That becomes a barrier. So now we may have been working on, and when someone calls my phone in the middle of class and I have to answer of some nature, that becomes a barrier as well. Okay. So 77 is A. 78, when worry, stress, fear, anger, love, and prejudice can restrict effective communication. We refer to this as cultural barrier, mental barrier, emotional barrier, physical barrier. So 78 is C, emotional barrier. Okay. When worry, stress, fear, anger, love, and prejudice can restrict effective communication, we refer to this as emotional barrier. Okay. 78 is C. And a lot of times you may have clients that may have a lot of things going on. And so they can't really get into the classroom, can't really get into the lesson because of outside things that they have going on. Sometimes the issues are within the students inside of the classroom. And then sometimes you have students that deal with a lot of things. Like I have had students that start dating and when they break up and then they go date another class member, there was all kind of stuff going on in the classroom. They're mad at what happened at home. So on the way driving here, something happened, all kind of different things that life could really hit them. And those, they become barriers in your classroom as well. And 78 is C, and I'm sorry. Here's another barrier. Hold on one moment. Okay, I apologize for that. Miss Hill, are you still on?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, say hello to my guests. See, someone is on here.
Hello.
We're gonna get back to our class, okay? All right, go finish your homework. Thank you. Oh, look over it twice. Make sure it's correct, okay? Okay. She just didn't believe I'm having a class. She wants to talk. But I'm like, we have a class. She's like, I don't hear anybody. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's my lady. No children, but do have some children. Okay, so that phone call was an example of a barrier. And don't you know that for years, since phones have been popular to carry around, that has been one of the number one things that instructors will complain to me about is students and their phones, right? Or staff members, directors will complain about instructors with their phones. And what you'll have to do is come up with a policy. For me, because I know how the landscape of the classrooms have shifted, um, I, I don't do the traditional, you can't have a phone, you don't use a phone, don't do that, don't do that. Okay. Because the kids that are Gen Z that are coming in now, even those millennials coming in now, they've had a phone every day of their life. They came in the first week being born and probably sat in front, their parents probably set them in front of a cartoon or some kind of phone or some kind of tablet or some kind of video device. And this is why I tell people all the time, leave your phone somewhere and watch how you just have to breathe extra. You get an extra breath trying to figure out where that phone at. Okay. But and then you have the individuals who come in the classroom and the phone becomes a barrier. You have to figure out how to have an even playing field. For me, I may tell students, don't have a problem with the phone, but you're gonna have phone time. Okay. So when we're in the classroom, there'll be time when I may ask you to go to chat. There'll be times I may ask you to go to Google, go to Instagram, look these things up. So you will need to have a device. I may ask you to add these numbers. You will need to have a device. And that tells students, hey, I'm a little bit more comfortable here, but you cannot be on the phone during class. Okay. And you have to be searching for, if you're doing a group assignment, it has to be what the assignment is about. Students can win phone time. They can win phone time when we do games, when we have presentations. They can literally win phone time. And that phone time, instead of saying an extra break, I say phone time or content time. And so they're taking that 10 minutes or 5 minutes, extra 5 minutes in their break. And when I say it's appreciated, they're like, man, yes, they're good for them to, do their check-ins on their socials and not have to rush. Because normally that's what people gonna do on their breaks when they pick up phone up. And so that's just something that I've just learned to do. And I had an instructor, her whole class was just went up, and I was like, what is going on, guys? Y'all loud, what is going on? And she said, I don't want them to have a phone, da 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 da. And I was like, okay, what would cause, if they didn't have a phone, what does that do to you? If they had their phone out, what does it do to you? I just remember coming up in school, yeah, you 30 years ago, no one had phones. Okay.
Right.
But now we have something. And when you went to her desk and snatched her phone off her desk, that 18-year-old girl turned into Mike Tyson, because she's always had something in her hands. And when you taking her property, maybe the only property, you got to understand that caused the outcry. And now you have an unsettled class. The subject of learning is over. You'll definitely have to take a break at this point to bring it back. You'll definitely have to break to bring it back. And so, although we want to be authoritarian, we have to make sure that there's a better way. You don't go snatch anyone's property. Okay. And I like for my students to feel like they have a choice. And most adults, all adults, want to be treated as adults, and they want to have a choice. And so, okay, you have the choice to follow these rules as it pertains to the phone, or you're going to have to go and do your work at home. What is it? And you'll be surprised at how many students like, okay, I'm going to do this because I do not want to go home. It's so boring at home. They want to be in the environment. So you make the environment fun, but you do have to have that professional development with educators like, hey, these are not children, okay? And you don't pretty much do the earn respect type thing. Look, your position, there's a level of respect that comes with your position. You want them to respect you, and they want respect also. Just notice about teaching adult learning. So that's just continued development, teaching adults, and they want to be treated as adults. We have all sat on the other side in a classroom, and we wanted to be treated as adults and not children. Although some of our learning concepts, our connectors could be child-based, but that's the thinking, okay, bringing everything together, but we definitely don't treat them or mistreat them. And so with that educator, she just had a real quick dose of her own medicine, but I had to have a conversation with her that literally your attitude has been like on 1,000. And so you want respect, you're going to have to come in with respect. Every response doesn't have to be a smart aleck response. You have to deal with a Cosmo student for 6 to 12 months, depending on what part of the program they are, because we have apprenticeship school. So the minimum time is 6 months, the maximum time is 12 months. So, even with that aspect, we have to bring some people around. Everybody is not fit to be an educator, no matter what license, what accolade they have, and they got to have people skills. And sometimes those soft people skills, they come in when you're trying to move over as a class or individual, a barrier in the classroom. I've had individuals to come in who were on medications for mental stability. So as an educator, my eye was always just watching if anything was abnormal, anything was not normal like what she would usually do. I know that I may have to pull her to the side or maybe have to ask her a question related to, you good? You taking care of everything today? Did you what do we have? I wouldn't ask her, did she take her medicine? Because I wouldn't want to, some people are embarrassed. I was like, did you stop by my desk today? And she goes, oh, yeah, I stopped by. Oh, I came by there early. Oh, that was real early. Oh, no, I ain't stopped by there yet. I'm going to go by there now. And that, with that young lady, that was our notion of, if I saw some erratic behavior, some different, stopping by my desk. She had I had pieces of candy, maybe a chip, but also she could go into my private room and have a moment to take her she'll take her blood pressure, check her diabetes things, and also take any medication that she needed, because I had a private office, and I would just keep little candies, and I had a chair in the corner, and it would seem like real punishment, but them students love to come in there and sit in the corner talking about, I'm putting myself on punishment. They were adults, but it was their way of saying, okay, you have a free space. This is a free space, but do you stop by my desk today? And whatever you need is on my desk. If you just need a private place where you can just move aside and take your pills, go ahead. Whatever your medication is, go ahead. Most of the time, if a person was taking a medication, the admin team would step in the office with her just to make sure that what she was taking was what she's supposed to have been taking. Is that a part of our job? But it helped. Not really. Not really. But it helps. It helps. We needed to build a relationship with that student. We need to build a safe space with that student to ask that student, hey, you need, and really that student could not afford to not take that medication. So when we saw someone, we would say, hey, go stop by my desk. I left some on my desk for you. And that person already knew what it was. And the admin was right there. She said, hey, I got to go get some off Miss Cox's desk. She said, well, let me come around there. And my desk on the corner had little snacks. And it was also like a private place. She could just take a moment, talk, debrief, take a little medication, calm down a little bit, and come back out. Just have to have, sometimes you got to develop a safe space for them to be comfortable. I had students dealing with it, and I really set myself aside for a minute because I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And sometimes we grow up, we think we didn't have the best childhood. But when I say I'm blessed, because half of what my students went through, no, um, I didn't go through 10% of what my students went through. And I thought I had a rough childhood. I didn't go through 10%, which means my heart went out to them. They were going through stuff that you see on TVs about the parents and abuse and all kinds of stuff going on. So my heart would go out to them. And it was just being, sometimes you just gotta show that you're a real person. Okay. And so students having anxiety attacks and just different things, it allowed me to learn them. They felt comfortable with telling me if I do this, this is probably what happened. If I happen to have a seizure, this is what happened. If you see me over in a corner, you'll be like, oh, all of this at a beauty school? Yes. So we were on alert and we saw a lot. We learned how to calm a lot down. And our students literally taught us how to deal and work through a lot of their personal, mental, and emotional barriers. And honestly, it was a generation that I saw take more medical, mental prescriptions than ever before. And it just made our heart just poured out, for those individuals that were going through that. Because our moms used to tell us no, and we was like, and knew not to ask again. Okay. But their no takes them to the whole other side. So we were introduced to resources. We were introduced, it made us find resources. It made us find ways and counselings that helped them. And all of that helped diminish barriers in the classroom. And when we see them students today, I have a student, she pops up on my timeline. And I had two students. One, I wish I could find when I was a director, this one student, he used to get in trouble all the time. And I used to make him hold books. Just go to the wall. Just go to the wall, hold the books. And of course, he was like the class clown. He would hold the books and we videotaped him. And he was like, that was his disciplinary way. I wasn't going to suspend him, but sometimes he'd get a little bit out of line, go to the wall. He would say, I'm putting myself in timeout. He'll go to the wall. And it was all fun. But it was that level of, you don't want to hold books in Miss Cox's class. So be cool because she gonna make you hold all her books. And I used to make him tote my books from, not make, but tote my books from my car to the office and from the office back to the car. And that was his way. He didn't want to be sent home. He didn't want to go home. He didn't enjoy home. He didn't have a ride anywhere else. He rode the bus. So I knew his jokes and fun and games was all a part of how he was just coping. And his initial barrier began to just kind of come all the way down and soften. He just wanted something to do and somebody to listen to him. But this young man is such a great hairdresser now. Such a great hairdresser. And I look back, I said, all that trouble he got in and had to tote them books, he was literally paying attention. And another young lady who always wanted to, be a model. And I used to say to her all the time, be careful who's shooting you. You can't miss school for a photo shoot. How do you know that's a real person? You got to do your due diligence. Come to school, come to school, come to school. And she was doing all kind of photo shoots and went the best, but and they don't really listen a lot because they're 19, 20 at that time. And I look up, she is licensed. She is doing hair and a really, really good job. And guess what? She is on social media. She goes viral. She's a part of like a story sitcom. And I'm just like, this girl is really doing it. She wanted to be in acting. She wanted to be in entertainment. She wanted to act. She's literally acting and she's really good at it. And she never put down her tools. And so all of that, when I look back and see all of their barriers and see that because we don't make a big deal about it, and this is just me, I don't make a big deal about it because at home it's a big deal already. Okay. And coming to school is escape. My main concern as an educator was to teach them. And all of the barriers, how do we go past the barriers? It may not be no, they can't sit in everybody's office all day, but there's something called empathy, compassion. They can have a moment. We had something called the word wall with motivation, scriptures. I started out putting one or two, and the students had to start putting them on there. Whenever you feel like you got a word, you want to share something, you may not be a talker, put it on a board. Whenever someone graduates, leave a word for somebody who's coming behind you. So the word wall became a place of go to the wall for a minute. Oh, you came in with a bad attitude. What happened to you? You know, people sometimes want to say that, but I was like, oh, so you're not your best today. Do you need a moment? You need to go to the word wall, or do you want to go home? I just need a moment. I'll go to the word wall. Great. Go over to the word wall, take your chair, find your word, hang on to it. That was my motivation most times. Go find your word and you hang on to that word all day. I'm okay with you taking 5 minutes out of your day to go over to the word wall to decompress because I don't want you over here in the learning environment in a bad attitude. Because me and you ain't gonna clash after a while because I gave you opportunities. Next thing is going home. And so we had a lot of students who take advantage of the word wall. And once I finish my office up now, I'm going to have another word wall. I'm always going to have a word wall. Okay. And I found that wall works. It works. It allows adults to take a minute, take a breather without people breathing down their back. Find your own place of motivation and come back. If you cannot come back, it's okay to clock out and go home. Those would be the only two options. So the bad attitude can't come back with you when you come back from the word wall. So, and it gives the adults a sense of adulting, okay, without me trying to overmanage them. And so it gives them a sense of adulting. And how I got over there, I don't know. But coming back around to number 77, let's look at our answers. It's A, physical barrier. Okay. 78, when worry, stress, fear, anger, love, prejudices can restrict effective communication, we refer to this as C, emotional barrier. Okay. Those are emotions. 79. And love, romance, all kind of romance stuff can happen within the classrooms. And you just have to be prepared. It'll shift the classroom. They on her side, they on his side. All kind of things. We've had husbands come up to the school. We've had wives come up to the school. We've had husband and wives, girlfriends come up to the school. So just kind of keeping all of that away from your classroom. 79, when learning disabilities cause the inability to concentrate or focus on the content being discussed, this is referred to as a culture barrier, mental barrier, emotional barrier, and physical barrier. 79 is B, mental barrier, learning disabilities. Okay. Now, I tell my students all the time, no one could tell me they can't pass a test because I've had students on the spectrum, even as adults, be diagnosed on the spectrum. Okay. Full working IEPs that a beauty school teacher, myself, took that IEP and we still helped do as much as we could. I We don't have any degrees so we know what we're doing on that end, but I knew that this student needs some assistance, and it helps her when it came time for her to have accommodations for her tests with PSI. So now I tell everybody, you got IEP coming from high school, keep it up for at least 1 to 2 years until you come out of beauty school and take your exam, because you're able to ask for accommodations to take the test. So, you know, that is, and then we can give you accommodations as well for taking test taking and lesson learning if you're on IEP. And so having the young lady, dealt with ADHD, she dealt with spectrum, different areas of spectrum, the spectrum for autism, and she could come out and pass her esthetician exam. Oh, you can too. So I use that as, oh, she can do it, you can too. Okay, and you don't have any documented disabilities, smart as a whip, you can do it too. Okay, so that has become a motivational, that mental barrier. Sometimes we talk about dyslexia, we're talking about ADHD, we're talking about spectrum as well. Okay, 79 is B. 80, the tone, pitch, and rate of your voice increase the potential for successful communication to 45%. The other 55% is how it's delivered. Okay, how you deliver it visually. All right, so 55% is how I look in front of you, and 45% is going to be my tone, my pitch, my movements, my voice. That's going to be 45%. And if I get you by how I look, I'm looking amazing, 55%, I got you. We're finna have a great class. The other 45 is what comes out of my mouth and how it comes out of my mouth and the rate it comes out of my mouth. Honestly, let me tell you, I told somebody this earlier. Anybody that comes to me talking fast, I have shut down. And I'm gonna go back when they stop talking, or when I can sit down, and I'm gonna run that conversation back through. Sometimes I gotta get back to you, okay? Because I don't think as fast. I think as fast as someone talks. So I want to have some clarity, okay? I want to have some definite clarity. So 79, when learning disabilities, we said 79 was B. 80, tone pitch, 55% is delivered visually by our appearance and posture. Facial expression, gestures, and eye contact, all of the above. 80 is going to be all of the above. Now, this question is asking, the other 55% is delivered visually by our blank. The top part of that question, the first part of it, has nothing to do with the answer. Okay? So that 55% delivered visually is all of the above. 80 is D. 81, clarity of speech, which greatly impacts the effectiveness of our communication, is referred to as A, articulation. Okay, articulation. 81 is A. 82, the emotion in our voice, the pitch, the pace, the emphasis that can add expressions of anger and happiness within the exact same sentence is called, 82 is B, intonation. Okay, it's an emotion in the voice. You can go up or down, angry, all in the same sentence. Intonation. 83, we can usually determine another person's moods or feelings by their voice, body language, facial expression, or posture. It's going to be facial expression. We can usually determine another person's mood or feelings by their facial expression. So 83 is C. Okay. 84. When students avoid eye contact during a presentation, it usually means that they blank, do not want to be called in, called on, want to be called on, are very shy, or do not wish to speak to anyone. Okay. 84, we see this all the time. They do not want to be called on. They will look down, they'll look around. I've done it. I see students that do it. And I said, oh, this your lucky day. So sometimes I let them ride because I know they're shy, or they're just end up on this like, please, please, please don't call on me. Okay. But I would get them on the second or third round. Okay. 84 is A. 83 is C, and 84 is A. 85, when performing a client consultation, rather than looking at the client through the styling mirror, students should conduct the consultation face-to-face, conduct the consultation with a handheld mirror, conduct the consultation while the client is in the shampoo bowl, or conduct the consultation over the phone. Okay. And 85 is A, conduct the consultation face to face. So when performing a client consultation, rather than looking at the client through the styling mirror, students should conduct the consultation face to face. And what's popular, have you seen how the consultations in the salon are going viral? They do have them around to the mirror, and they're looking in the mirror, but they're really supposed to be doing it face to face. But they're looking in the mirror for the sake of, recording. And some consultations come out great, some come out not so great. I think it was a young lady that just did a consultation, and she thought it was gonna, it went viral, but it went viral for the wrong reasons. This young lady just had a personality just did not match, and didn't have great customer service with her client. It wasn't received well. And remember, they come in with their hair. That ain't our hair. 86, the social distance zone. Social distance between two individuals when measured nose to nose is between C, 24 to 30 inches. Give me my space, give me my space, give me my space. And so sometimes when you have students cramped up in a classroom, students can get irritated. You can find there could be barriers there as well, because they're people in their space. And I don't know about you, but I do like my space. And I'm trying at my old age not to be a loner, but in the past, I have been okay with just me and my space. 87, when a person is, and here's the thing for Tennessee, you need to know, the ratio between instructor to student is 1 to 20 students. Whenever you go somewhere within Tennessee and you got one instructor and 30 students, we're in violation. Okay. We're in violation. It should be one instructor per every 20 students. So one instructor with 18 students, I got a lot of students, I need some help. Well, per the state, you can handle 18, and you may need some help. You need some better prep time. Okay. You need some better prep time, some organization skills, and that will help you deal with that amount of students. 87, when a person is expressing blank, his hands and arms are open and his legs are uncrossed. 87 is A, open body language. When a person is expressing open body language, his hands and arms are open and his legs are uncrossed. They're very welcoming. Okay. 88, the open forward mode indicates the listener is combative, reflective, fugitive, or responsive. 88, responsive. Miss Hill, I laughed on the fugitive because at my career college, I was the director of, we would randomly have like police pull up, and it's a offset parking lot. Police will put up, this is a career college that has medical, HVAC, electrical, computer, whatever, cosmetology, whatever you're going to school for is all in the same building. but we could see through the salon floor, who was outside, who was in the parking lot. So police show up several times, different times, and we're like, maybe they were coming to check the prices of their hair, or they was coming to drop something off. Somebody's husband was a police officer. It was always something of that nature. And one day I went to pick up the flyer they were doing for community service, and I came back and all my students had left the floor. So what happened to all my students? How about they had all went to the dispensary and closed the door? This is how you know you're dealing with.
Right.
That was the day I said, who am I teaching in my classroom? We laughed about that. I mean, for days, we laughed about it every time we saw one coming. We always had one or two students that would kind of peep off, and we would have to be like, they're gone. Like, when the whole half that group, it was like 8 or 9 students on the floor. They all went to the dispensary and closed the door, locked themselves.
I'd have been like, what y'all got going on?
Yes. And it was like, that's when I reality checked in. Like, you don't know who's sitting in your classroom. I wanted to say, who got the active warrant? They would have really ran, because the back door was right there. You're gonna go to the dispensary or the back door. And I would have hated to kind of just just prank them on that, because somebody would have hit that back door running. It was a very entertaining, and I never forget my time at that career college. It taught me a lot. And a lot of those students, surprisingly, are still doing hair, nails, beauty, everything. But I just had to share that. When I saw Fugitive, that made me think of everybody running off the floor. I know. And then one time a teacher ran. I said, "Now hold up."
Oh my God. That's almost like when the nail techs see the state board people coming in and they just take off.
And I'm just not finding out a couple of years ago, that's why the back door is always open at their nail shops, because they run out the back door.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
89. So you don't know who's in there. 89 people in the open back mode. People in the open back mode are interested and receptive, but not actively accepting the information. They are 89. Be reflective. So they're bringing it in, but they're only pulling the information in to kind of figure it out. It looks like they may not be interested, or they may be ready to come back or say something against what you're saying. But for me, I may be really listening. I may not be saying anything, but I'm pulling all the information in so I can make it make sense. Okay. So 89 is reflective, and 9 times out of 10, when you have people who are reflective, they are going to ask questions, and they're going to repeat what you said to make sure there's clarity. 90, in this closed forward mode, the listener is likely to present active resistance. Ooh, combative. I don't want to hear, I want to talk about it. Combative. Okay. So 90 is A. We don't want combative in our classrooms. We want to have a safe space. Reflective is fine, but we should also be able to back up our information. Like, teachers ain't gonna be able to just say anything, because everybody got access to AI and everything. So you're gonna have to check, cross check, chat check, whatever you need to check the information before you spit it out, because you got to be so much afar them on so many things, because they think a lot of times people think they have become experts, especially if they're coming for second career, third career. They become experts in certain things, and you still have to show, hey, I am the educator. I do that. I put the information out. I see how this person needs to be taught, learn. It's so much to you just responding with information. So that builds up the educator's confidence as well. So that's another thing, having the confidence there to say, hey, I'm the teacher. Okay. And not let a lot of these things just kind of take front and center. 91, and we're almost done. An effective way to communicate and be useful when dealing with conflict situations, as well as with students in counseling. It is two-way communication, empathetic listening, active listening, expressive communication, and 91 is C, active listening. Effective way to communicate and be useful when dealing with conflict situations. Listen. I'm listening in the moment. I'm listening. 92, the master educator will be receptive to the ideas and opinions of others. Therefore, learning effective communication skills, giving the learner full attention, gaining an appreciation of the learner, or gaining trust and respect. Our ultimate goal is to build rapport where they can trust us. We want to build a relationship where they can trust what we're saying. We got their best interests at hand. So 92 is D. Okay, trust and respect. 93, the degree of boldness or confidence in dealing with others is referred to as effectiveness, responsiveness, defensiveness, or assertiveness. Okay? The degree of boldness or confidence in dealing with others is referred to as 93, assertiveness. You want to assert yourself, boldness or confidence. Okay? 93 is D. 94, the touchy, warm, outgoing person who is also assertive. We said assertive was bold and confident and given to foresight expression. Okay. Often telling you about accomplishments is referred to as 94, a seller. Okay. They're going to sell you on it. It is 94A, a seller. Okay. 95, these communicators do not hesitate to express their expectations clearly. They don't hesitate. Score high in the self-control department and do not reveal much about their inner selves. 95 is A, achievers. They do not hesitate to express their expectations clearly, score high in self-control department, so they're disciplined, and they do not reveal a lot about themselves. They are achievers. Okay, the goal is just about to the mark. 95 is A, achievers. 96, when communicating with others, to make sure you completely understand what they have said. A, ask them to show you pictures. B, keep asking them questions. C, bring over another person to help. Or D, paraphrase and repeat information back to them. So 96, when communicating with others, to make sure you completely understand what they said, you're going to D, paraphrase and repeat information back for clarity. This is also a reflective listener. Okay. 96 is D. 97, the first step in making meaningful communication possible is behaving in a professional manner, active listening skills, the mirroring technique, and 2, maintain boundaries. 97 is A, behaving in a professional manner. The first step in making meaningful communication possible, you got to behave in a professional manner. Okay. 98, learning to speak properly will give you great frustration, control, self-confidence and respect, intelligence. And 98 is going to be C, self-confidence and respect. 98 is C, learning to speak properly will give you great self-confidence and respect. That deserves a round of applause. This is all I really look for in an educator when we are doing virtual training. You can have all the accolades all you want, but I am looking for tone of voice, pitch, your running of your words, and I'm also looking for you to be able to speak properly. Now, I have had educators, at least two, get removed from virtual trainings because they could not speak properly. Every other word was a curse word. And then also, they did not study their terms, so they did not know how to pronounce some words. I don't pronounce all the words, but you got to do a better. You got to meet me 25% of the way at least, and study the rest of the way. Okay, so that was a problem. But also, I mean, people have said this. Never thought, hey, I'll just come on and talk, but it's how you talk. Okay. I don't want my male teachers, I want them to I want them to draw a line. I don't want to hear sex and lust and crazy barbershop stories that belittle women. I don't want to hear that from my barbers, and I don't want to hear that or the opposite from my teachers, So even though many individuals, they want to do this, I can do that. I can do better than what they're doing. You really have to know what you're doing. You really have to know what you're doing. Okay. But that's the biggest thing, is them speaking properly, and where we're going. This is going to be a character trait that you have to continue to build on, build on, build on. And if that means taking improv classes, practicing in the mirror, doing what you got to do, okay, for your presentation, because this could be the one thing, how you speak and how you control your speech, how you pronunciate your terms. That could be the one thing that gets you the job or the contract, and have you come before students and work with doctors and things of that nature, where other people would not be able to because they have not elevated to that level of properly speaking. 99, when you need to speak with your manager about some issue or problem, go to the meeting with a solution in hand, with gossip why you are upset, and to vent. And 99 is A, with a solution in hand. I'm coming in with a way we can solve the problem. So when you speak to your manager about some issue or problem, I've learned to come in with something on the table. Okay. Build your value in a company or corporation or educational institution by solving the problem. Even if your idea does not go past the table, you brought something to the table as a problem solver. Okay. 100, your manager's job is to help you achieve your professional goals. Keep an open mind and complain about the manager. Get your facts straight about the criticism. Be open to constructive criticism, or check your attitude about the criticism. It says your manager's job is to help you achieve your professional goals. Keep an open mind, and C, be open to constructive criticism. You got to be able, people have to be able to tell you need work on something. Okay. They got to identify the areas that can make you better if you work on these areas. Don't run from that. And if you're coming in year one, it's going to get better, and it gets better, and it gets better, and it gets better. Okay. This is your Master Educator State Board Prep 1. We just completed that. Now that it's completed, I can send it over to you. Okay. And I'm also going to prepare something else as well. But I just wanted to say we finished that. Tomorrow when we meet, we'll go over 2, but this one I'm going to send it to you, and we'll start our next State Board Prep tomorrow. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Have a great one.
Okay, you too. Thanks.